is, what to watch for. Like the problems that come in when people start to lose their voice in partnership, where I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like that I'm an individual. All I feel is like the entity of us, and that loss of identity, and how to start to identify those red flags. What are the red flags? You know?
Usually, when things like that are happening, it's because of a need not being met. You
Yeah.
know, a need that we are having that we feel like we can't talk to the other person,
Mm-hmm.
or the person that is being more dominant is also having some need that's not being met.
Hmm.
Whether it's becoming insecure, so I'm going to control everything,
Yeah.
or feeling insecure and but projecting that onto our partner. So then, um, who you're on the phone with, or whatever it could be, is an indication of some connection not being there.
Can you give an example of being insecure so you're projecting power? Do you know what I mean? What was coming up for me is,
Oh, so like you always do this, we always do what you want,
right,
kind of
okay.
thing, or some scenario like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality of it is that I'm giving away my power. I'm giving away, like, what do you want to do? What movie do you want to see? And if I'm asking that question all the time and never voicing what movie I actually want to see,
Yeah.
out of fear of being rejected, or feeling my partner in a sensitive place,
So
and
for
pushing my needs aside
yeah, what comes up for me
and
is
not being
is
honest.
that's so true. I love that. I think that something that comes up for me is that that scenario that you run into where you're in the car
Hmm.
and you're going to dinner and you're just kind of like, well, where do you want to go? I don't care. That
Hmm.
place of neutrality,
Hmm.
where instead of dropping into myself and saying, what am I hungry for? What sounds good to me?
Hmm.
And then coming from
but
that place.
but
And
also in that scenario, it's a lot of times when we go to that friend zone or the non-passionate route, is because we're both being feminine, or we're both being masculine.
huh,
So when you have experienced that place, I am assuming that
mm-hmm,
your partner was in a feminine place as well,
that's
and
interesting.
not making decisions and not leading in those instances. So
I kind of feel like, though, it's also about not wanting to feel rejection at all. Like, even,
that too.
it doesn't have to be like this big, oh, I'm being rejected, but there are
Hmm.
just moments where you're just like, I just want it calm, and I don't want ripples at all. So I'm going to go ahead and just not be me and let you
Hmm.
do you and just calmly follow behind.
But what is actually happening in that moment?
What's happening?
You're feeling hypersensitive in those moments,
Hmm.
so that and hyper vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
so that any kind of judgment hurts so intensely
Hmm.
in those moments.
I think that that becomes a normal way of dealing in partnership for so many people. I
Yeah.
know that for myself, when I go to a place of neutrality, that means I have given away my power and
Mm.
that I have checked out, basically. And
Hmm.
I am no
Hmm.
longer Heather. I am the us. And
Hmm.
um,
So for you, what has happened to get you there? Like, what needs have not been met up until that point?
for me, I would say that there's a lack of communication about what my needs are.
Hmm.
And that what's really going on there is that we have put in we put in a foundation of looking at what my boyfriend or whomever we're talking about needs, and we haven't really looked at what my emotions are and what my needs are. And
Mm-hmm.
you start to do that little by little, and you become just accustomed to just putting yourself aside. And that becomes such a habit that when you actually say, hey, tonight I really want Thai food, um, that feels like, for me, it has felt like I'm imposing myself at that point. To just say I want some pad ki mao is me saying, hey, I'm imposing myself on you.
Right, right,
I
right.
feel like that happens a lot. I see it a lot with moms, who give all of their energy to making sure all the needs of their kids are met, and then they start to go into partnership mode and they just give away their needs there too. Like they don't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Part of the part of the weekly ritual can be to check in with each other
Hmm.
and check in on each other's needs. Like, how are you feeling this week with feeling certainty,
Hmm.
or how significant are you feeling this week on a scale of 1 to 10? Something that you can actually,
So if I
sit
say
down with each other and check in.
I'm feeling like a 5 in being insignificant, in being significant in your life, what would you say?
Hmm.
How do you respond to stuff like that?
Like, what will make you feel at a 10? Like, what can bring us up to a 10? Like, I care about you. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
You are important to me. That you are not feeling that significant, because 5 is low to me. I want you to feel at least at a 7 or 8 in my life.
Yeah, I love
Well,
it.
how can we make that happen?
And at which point, I would imagine would it's a good opportunity to put in some parameters. We've talked about those. To be like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm going to ask you some questions about where you're at, and you are safe. My intention
Yeah.
here right now is to take care of you. Let's talk about it.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.